Well, welcome to Bulls, Bear and Banter, another edition of Bulls, Bear and Banter, and
Let's change the name.
Why?
No, I don't think it's an official name as of now.
Since
Yeah,
part
the day-
one.
No, it's been.
No, I was told not the official name. Also, it should just be Bears and Banter. There is no bull.
Where is the bull?
Where is the bull?
Because from the day we've named it, actually markets have gone for a toss.
So let's rename it Bears and Banter and
तब
maybe the
से
market is.
small cap index 10% गिर गया है.
Yeah, man, it's going down. So I mean, yes. Today was a day of a reality check of an argument for me, because
What was the argument actually?
No, the argument was मैंने आज सुबह on TV also I did this. I saw the glass half full. Yeah, the GSEC yield to Nifty earnings yield at a level which is this thing. There's a statistic used by Tariq, a blogger, on how the percentage of stocks above the 40 EMA, right, are at levels which were there during COVID lows.
Okay.
So इतनी मंदी है small caps में, right? इतना गिर गया है. So therefore, that plus the government moves, RBI moves, etc. and all of that. So somewhere
Valuation wise या price wise?
no, price and activity wise.
Okay.
Valuation wise you could argue. अभी देखो आपका Nifty EPS क्या है अलग बात है. But if you believe that नहीं, we will probably reach about 1300 in FY27.
अभी लगता है?
हो सकता है. We are at 1030, 40, right? Well, let's assume
मतलब 25%.
No, Baba, in 2 years, no?
अच्छा 2 years के बाद.
FY27 I'm saying.
Okay.
So in FY27 you are trading at 17 times. So valuation thing. But no, so the point I'm trying to make is the reality check came in when Amish Shah of BOFA came in. And to every bull argument that I could make, he presented why there is a problem with that. And he gave arguments about why money will not necessarily come in droves to the Indian market. And one that a lot of money, and one that a lot of money ex-Japan, ex-China has gone back to the US. Bloomberg did a story over the weekend about how post DeepSeek, a lot of funds have moved to China,
Hong Kong,
away
China.
from India. And they had data.
$1.3 billion which
Exactly.
just moved to China.
And they saw 20 Asia dedicated funds and saw the data of money that they've pulled out and money that they've put into China. So all of that is a reality check, right? And therefore the last point out here is that sometimes, and why markets get extended on both sides is because of liquidity. That is the universal truth. So those ample liquidity, markets got stretched on the upside. Right now, even if the markets were to be at good valuations, the lack of liquidity might just ensure that the markets correct further. So the limited point I'm making is, while I still believe that this is now the great time to start relooking at building out a portfolio, sharpen your pencils, buy selectively, there is nothing to say that things may not get worse. And I stand corrected in that. I thought that these would be levels from where the markets could actually do stability or bounce back. But there was some very strong evidence given by Amish on a lot of counts. I urge everybody,
Watch that interview.
watch that interview, because independent of whether you believe everything that he's saying or some of the things that he's saying, it's a great view to
A counter view to the bull argument which
and
is
to
there.
balance out your thought process. So that's the point.
It helps you in basically clarity कि भाई मुझे कहाँ invest करना है.
Yeah, you may still remain bullish.
Yeah.
It's a great argument to listen to.
You know, I was looking at some numbers also on fund flows. October में we saw outflow of $11 billion. January में $9 billion. This February already we are at $4 billion. Almost $3.5 billion outflows हो गए. And then I was looking at कितना पैसा म्यूचुअल फंड्स में आ रहा है, स्मॉल कैप एंड मिड कैप में आ रहा है. एक्चुअली $1 billion each is coming into small cap funds and mid cap funds on a gross basis for last 3 months. Despite January being a very bad month, I mean small cap was down 10% in January and we saw over 9,000 crores coming into small cap funds. So the argument which you're making कि भाई ये टाइम सही है डेवलप करने का या पैसे डालने का या इंक्रीज करने का, वो देखने को मिल रहा है. लास्ट ईयर जब आई डिड एन एक्सरसाइज ऑफ स्मॉल कैप में ग्रोथ कितने हैं, मिड कैप में कितने हैं, नेट फ्लोज कितने आ रहे हैं, एंड एवरी टाइम there was a sharp fall in mid and small cap, the percentage of net flows to the total mutual fund flows used to be sub 5% or sub 8%. January May, despite small cap falling 10% and the mid cap falling 6%, the percentage of flows, net flows of small and mid cap together as part of overall was 19%. So people are putting in the money there in some of the mid cap funds and small cap funds, hoping that this is going to be those who don't want to take a direct exposure, they're using the mutual fund to do it. So वो आ रहा है वो चीज जो
आ रहा है, but hopefully it pays dividends. I mean, I'm just saying this is the actual. If it doesn't pay now in an SIP way, then I don't know when it does.
But so I was just analyzing data myself, and this is of course independent of what Amish said in the morning. We peaked out in terms of mid and small cap benchmark valuations at around 45 times. We've seen around a 20% fall in 1 quarter. Currently, you're sitting at a price to earnings of around 35 times. The historic 5-year
35 times for
small and mid cap, both indices.
Historical
benchmark,
or
150
TTM, trailing 12 months.
Trailing 12 months.
Okay,
yes,
fine.
Trailing 12 months. But Niraj, you have to factor that growth is going to be weak.
Weak, yeah. So you could argue, चलो ठीक है.
चलो यार 1 या 2
20% भी होगा तो 28 times हो गया ना.
Correct. कितना ही होगा, मतलब 20% तो होने नहीं वाला है, it seems. It's going to be at best
no,
high single digit.
It could well be negative.
नहीं, for small caps and mid caps.
Small caps, high single digit, उससे ज़्यादा लग नहीं रहा है, मतलब okay चलो double digit भी ले लिया for example.
So frontline में I can understand high single,
you can
but
discount the price to earnings by 3. The average price to earnings multiple, 5-year average, and including the kind of move that we've seen maybe 7 or 8 months back when price to earnings really shot up because of the rally that we saw in those stocks. Including that, the 5-year average is around 23-24. You're still trading at a significant premium to that 5-year average, and significant, by significant I mean at least 30% premium, despite me taking a double-digit EPS growth in the next year, and despite the 20% fall we've seen. You could well see a larger fall, is all that I'm trying to make a case out of. Just purely based on valuations. I'm not looking at the economic slowdown, I'm not looking at any of the other factors. The other piece that S. Narayan spoke about was that the banking system has been doing a lot of unsecured lending. A lot of that unsecured lending has gone into equities, possibly. And he got that from KV Kamath, right? He got that from KV Kamath. He quoted KV Kamath and said that KV Kamath has put out this observation when he met him recently. Now, right or wrong, we're not sure. And even he gave it himself.
That's the assumption which we had early 2024 when RBI started clamping down on unsecured loans, right?
Correct.
कि credit card unsecured सब stock market में आ रहा है, IPO में आ रहा है.
Correct.
उसके बाद tightening हो चुकी है. Lending restrictions आ चुके हैं.
So sir, what I'm trying to say, this could well be the impact of that.
It could be that now could be the impact of sell down अगर हो रहा है. And many of them who have taken that exposure on those secured loans, if they are not able to because of the 20-30% correction, now maybe the correction happening because of that. It हो सकता है. We don't have concrete numbers which is there.
But what we will promise you is that we'll try and do a story on this, because this angle was something I thought of on the weekend, and I'm really keen to dive deeper in this. If KV Kamath is suggesting that there is a lot of loans which have gone to equities, a lot of the money which has been taken from loans has gone to equity. Hopefully it shouldn't be too hard to find, but I'm going to try and do that exercise.
So मैं आप दोनों को एक बात बताऊं. देखो, I was myself first. I started off saying that, and we should try and take questions by the way. So if you have questions, please send across.
Yes, please.
But here's my simple submission that आप है ना fund manager नहीं हो. अगर आप retail investor आप fund manager नहीं हो, तो आपको आपकी NAV मार्केट को हर क्वार्टर नहीं दिखानी है, and therefore
हर क्वार्टर के हर महीने नहीं दिखाने,
हर दिन नहीं दिखानी है. चलो whatever it is. What I'm trying to say is that for you, if this is the level at which you've bought, right, with a 3-year view, right, and there is earnings growth promise that is given by the company, large, mid, small, whatever it is, and let's say in 3 years out, you believe that logically earnings wise level यहाँ पे होना चाहिए, right? And that is good enough for you. There is no reason to not allocate some capital right now, even if this were to go lower, because your bottom to koi pakad nahi sakne wala hai, right? There are a lot of stocks and a lot of businesses which, on the guidance that they've given in Q3, I urge people to go and look at the guidance, look at the con call transcripts of some of the companies that have come in. Recycling hua, EMS hua, ye wo, banking hua.
Chemicals, specialty chemicals है.
पर वहाँ पे commentary कितनी एक दो में बहुत अच्छी है, सब में नहीं है, but a lot of sectors जहाँ पे बहुत तगड़ी commentary है for the next 2-3 years, right? And they're not speaking in the air. These are established managements. And valuations have come off.
And especially what we were discussing in the newsroom today, that जिस लोगों ने QIP किया last year, and they're sitting on what I was looking at the number of basic number 1,40,000. आपने बोला था QIP का नंबर, मैंने जो अभी निकाला 1,40,000 करोड़ रेज किया था QIP में अलोन.
मैंने आज सुबह स्टैटिस्टिक डाला. 324 companies, I think, SMID companies raised capital in 2024.
So they are sitting on a bullish thing कि मेरे को इतना पैसा करना है. आज के डेट में वो पैसा कोई रेज नहीं कर सकता
क्योंकि और इनके पास पैसा है. So they can do capex
and growth for next 2 to 3.
But this all points towards Mr. Naren's argument. All of this,
which is
that the risk has shifted from the balance sheets of banks to the balance sheets of people, personal. So from debt to equity.
Yeah, but you call. When people invest in the equity markets, you know that it comes with a bit of an inherent risk. आपको FD से ज़्यादा पैसा इसलिए मिल रहा है because the equity markets will show you drawdowns.
But it also means, sir, that valuations are so comfortable for issuers that they are willing to go out and issue equity instead of debt. Otherwise, why would an issuer think about us as a company? Why would we as a company allocate capital through the equity route if you're getting debt at 10%?
वही तो मैं बता रहे, हम बात कर रहे थे कि he said 352 companies and I took the number out 1,39,000 crores which came through QIP alone. And इसमें exclude है, rights issue वगैरह सब बाहर है इसके, तो वो सब ऐड करोगे तो और भी आएगा, right? वो पैसा जो है ऑलरेडी रेज कर लिया गया है, एट अ हायर वैल्यूएशन रेज किया गया है.
अभी नहीं
होने वाला है. अगले 6 से 9 महीने में ये नहीं होने वाला है.
जिसने कर दिया वो किंग. Simple. Now whether it was used for personal reasons or for capex is separate. अगर capex का use किया है, then those companies will show good numbers in sales.
Correct.
Yeah, and at the same time, sorry, we need to take questions.
Yeah, we need to.
So, but the only thing is, there's a last point I'm making here. Okay, but let's take questions if we can.
Yeah.
मुझे आज किसी ने बताया, right, that the transformers sector, which looked very rosy, the earnings growth are great, etc. and stuff like that, because world over there was a shortage. Now that shortage will go away because every company worth its salt in India and globally has initiated about 12 months ago transformer manufacturing capacities, all of which will come on stream in 2025. Suddenly, there will be, I'm not saying a glut in the truest sense, but a glut of capacity, and therefore margins which had gone up from 8, 9, 10% to 18%. It's a simple business, transformers. 18% चला गया था, वो वापस नीचे आएगा.
आ जाएगा 12 से 15.
And therefore, be careful with buying every sector which this was one of the pegs of our conversation today, that जो companies नीचे आई हैं, high growth companies, are they worth buying? Be careful. Be careful of buying into all forms of transformer companies because capacities have come on stream. Not everybody will make high margins. Be careful of putting in money into defense companies because defense spend might be lower. If Donald Trump has his way with Russia and China and military spending coming off, all of that is an issue as well, even if you were to up the spending on Ukraine, right? So choose sectors carefully. Not everything will go back to the margins that it used to have.
True. एक था question, which stocks can act as leading indicators for uptick in rural demand?
Leading indicators for uptick in rural demand. Interesting.
Because tractors is not a leading indicator.
I would suspect two-wheelers, right?
I
would suspect two-wheelers.
Two-wheelers, right?
I would suspect.
And in two-wheelers also, there's a shift which is happening from 100 to 125 cc's. Bajaj being the classic case where they're seeing a Pulsar का range जो है उसमें काफ़ी demand आ रहा है. 100 में नहीं हो रहा है, 125. So there's a upgrading which is happening at that level which is there.
And a little bit of pulse on FMCG also, right, sir?
Yeah, but the only point is FMCG में it's difficult to figure out where the demand has come because FMCG products are ubiquitous, right?
Yes.
वो same product rural urban सब में बिकता है, which is the same in two-wheelers, but two-wheelers is more aligned to uptick in discretionary demand. मतलब मेरे पास पैसा आता है तो सबसे पहले एक बाइक लेनी है.
Correct.
That still stays true. So I'm guessing.
Correct.
It's a guess. I don't
No,
have numbers
I
to
agree.
back this. But yeah, two-wheeler sales might be the first port of call.
I would agree. And transport is something which is a big challenge also in India, and therefore two-wheelers could well be that.
Your view on healthcare sector stocks like Medanta, Polymedicure, and Medi Assist.
I don't know about specific stocks. Do either of you have a view on any of these?
No.
No,
I don't.
healthcare as a whole, yes,
Ah.
it's positive.
Positive.
उसमें because healthcare is something which is growing at a decent rate, whether you like it or not.
And there is a need.
There's a need which is
There is
there.
a need.
So,
Yeah.
so many of these companies may not be as aggressive in expanding their bed capacities because of the kind of situation or fundraising that is required. But I think growth will come in there.
Yeah.
And it's more of a localized geography specific thing and not pan India.
Yes.
Like you are in one city and you have a big multi-speciality hospital. You are the multi-speciality hospital of that city.
Correct.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Very difficult that a competitor will come and
Come
set
in.
up shop next to you.
Very
Very difficult that he will do that.
The only difference is for Polymedicure, especially because it's into the med
Device.
tech space.
Med tech space.
Now,
Space.
India has, on last count that I know, 80,000 crores of net medtech imports into the country.
Yes.
Right? It's a space that the government will also want to attack because it's a critical space in which there is imports happening. So for Polymedicure, the runway is great. India can manufacture low-cost items at a good quality. Polymedicure is known for quality, and it is attacking pockets where India has got high imports. So therefore, growth
There is
rates
a substitution
will
And
which
doing
is-
export
that
as well,
substitution
sir.
effect
Exactly.
is going to
And
happen.
what as well.
ये भी जो है, because India में आप बना रहे हो, you can make it at low cost and supply it to ASEAN, Africa, etc. very easily.
Yeah, but again, take care of valuations at this point.
I don't know the valuations of
I'm
Polymedicure.
just pulling it out
but-
because these days everything
But
is
their
moving.
commentary, we spoke to them
66
recently.
times. Yeah,
We spoke to them recently. Very, very positive on demand ahead.
There is one on MediAssist. Do you have anything on MediAssist?
So I mean, it's more of a play on insurance than on
TPA.
healthcare. Frankly, it's a third-party agency which basically sells insurance. It's going. I think it's the second largest player in India and therefore has a large market share, 20% plus. If I recall just off the bat, I'm sorry, some of these numbers are maybe 3, 4, 5 months old, but just whatever I remember of it, keeps acquiring companies and therefore the market share keeps going up as it keeps acquiring, and it turns around those companies from low ROCE to high ROCE. So they are doing that, and that entire journey should help them. But again,
It's more into inorganic growth because it
Yeah,
acquires
exactly.
from local areas and then
Yes,
you know
that's exactly what it
and
does.
turns it around.
Now,
But
in
you
terms
know
of-
this one company called Sagility, right? वो भी almost ये same है, but it's not in India. It does it in the US. That healthcare which was erstwhile
Hinduja Global.
का जो healthcare arm है and got listed recently. Which
yes,
which
and people are very bullish on that
on
one.
that. Because
We've had
it's-
2-3
it-
initiating coverage notes in the last 6 months on this.
and it's coming and it does more of a US market,
Yes,
not an
it
Indian
does more
market
US
play.
Yes. And very niche.
Very niche.
But it's very niche.
Niche.
MediAssist is more like wholesale. I mean, it's
Paramount TPA,
yeah.
MediAssist.
All of them are together. In fact,
together.
Paramount TPA is owned by MediAssist now. They've
okay,
been
yeah,
acquired.
they're acquired,
so.
yeah. So
What else?
there is one key tip of how to spot or research a stock that has corrected the most and might be a multi-bagger right now.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Oh, so I think 1,000 ways to skin a cat. I might look at it differently. Sajeet might look at it differently. Harsh might look at it differently. Sajeet, do you want to start with that? I mean, I have some thoughts, but maybe you start with that. Harsh can give
So
his
you
quick
know,
thoughts.
if you want to look at a mid-cap stock or a small-cap stock, take the index because that's a safe bet to start with for anyone who's starting because there are certain parameters.
No, आप stock कैसे spot करोगे? वो पूछ रहे हैं.
Yeah, index में से फिर then you look at which are the stocks which have fallen the most.
हाँ, ठीक है.
And then look at the earnings growth of each of them. Last 3 years का कितना CAGR growth हुआ है. And as he was telling earlier, look at the transcripts. What are they saying on growth for each of them? Try to break it down into industry wise and take 1 or 2 in each of the industry. Take the top of that from that index and then you break it down and look at what is the commentary and you can give an idea, get an idea of which is there. Again, which industry you want to go, it's up to you. Which one you look like the most. But industry wise में आप breakup करोगे तो आपको मिल जाएगा वो.
Harsh,
What's
any
your view?
thoughts? Okay.
Yeah, so
पहले हर्ष बताते हैं चलो.
No, I mean, you want to go.
So, okay, the view is simple. One, usually the stocks which have fallen the most and were the leaders of the previous bull market will not be the leaders of the next bull market. Very rare do you see consistency there. So, अगर आप देखो 2020 तक, forget mid cap, small cap, but large cap, Bajaj Finance, etc. fell quite a bit. For the next 4 years, they didn't do anything. Deepak Nitrite, a case in point in the chemical space, or Vinati Organics, right? Massive run till 2020. It's still available at a 40% discount to the price that it last clocked in 2021. So, one, don't look at stocks which have fallen the most and believe that it will bounce back to those levels. That may not happen. Part one. Because एक बात है कि what is the company saying in terms of earnings growth? The second point is sector multiples come down. So defense sector के multiples जो 2023 में peak पे थे या 2024 पे थे peak पे, they will not go back to those valuations. Similarly, railway company valuations will not go back to those erstwhile levels. So please also keep in mind that when you're choosing a sector and choosing a company, just think about whether that sector is still in favor or no. If it is not, then reset those valuations as well. But long story short, the only way you can do this is reading the con call transcripts, not just for one quarter. Now this is the market which will give you the time. कि बॉस मैं आज रिसर्च कर रहा हूँ, 5 दिन लगा लूँ रिसर्च के लिए, स्टॉक कहीं नहीं जाने वाला है. Take your time, look at all the con call transcripts, and then go out and choose if you want. And
when you read across 2 or 3 quarters, you will get to know the tone of the management commentary, how it's moving, and you know कि भाई अगर ये management ऐसे ही बोल रहा है या is there a substance?
And sometimes the management might also not be wrong because the scenario is changing so rapidly. But just to keep that in mind.
So I don't know. So 3 points, and Niraj sir obviously is better placed at
nothing like that.
Validating it. One is you've got to have a company with a high growth rate. That's one. Second, there has to be a reason for re-rating of a multiple to happen. And I'm purely talking of multi-baggers, okay? How typically multi-baggers have taken shape. One, strong earnings growth. Two, a valuation re-rating along with the earnings growth. And 3, it at some point was a hated stock or a hated company or a hated sector.
Or ignored company.
Exactly. So find these 3 possible constituents and thereafter dive deeper, read con call transcripts and whatever else Niraj sir and Sajeet sir have said. Maybe that's a good way of tying it all up together.
Yeah, well said. The only difference would be that in the case of very new companies, just say EMS have proven to be multi-baggers, they were not there only in the system, so no reason for anybody to hate them. But yeah, Hersh is largely right. If you're looking for stocks which have fallen the most, then if it is really hated right now, and if it's without reason, then it's a great candidate. You're right, absolutely right.
This one from Ganathan Sekhon. He's a regular guy.
Thank you.
Any views to share on agrochemical stocks like Bayer and PI Industries since they have corrected reasonably?
Yeah, again, I mean, the one thought that the agrochem space, much like specialty chemicals, is bottoming out. Somehow PI Industries numbers, UPL was also okay, but PI kind of maybe became a bit disappointed, and there were individual reasons. Varsha was telling me that in PI's case, there were 1 or 2 separate specific reasons that have happened. But it just seems that, again, the stocks may go up a little bit, but I think in chemicals, you're probably better off waiting for a quarter. And let's see how Q4 goes, because this quarter was a big disappointment for chemicals, all forms of chemicals, except for 1 or 2 companies. All companies disappointed. So people, and blue chip investors had logged on to chemicals thinking that ये quarter से turnaround आएगा. नहीं आया है.
और कुछ कमेंट्री वही रही है, राइट? लास्ट 2 क्वार्टर में कि इस बॉटम
नहीं, पर आज इस बार कमेंट्री में चेंज है सजीत, कि सब लोगों ने बोला वी आर होपफुल, वी आर वेटिंग टू सी व्हाट चाइना इज डूइंग, वी आर सेटिंग अप कैपेसिटीज, सम ऑफ आवर कैपेसिटीज आर कमिंग ऑन स्ट्रीम. लेकिन नोबडी वाज छाती ठोक के बॉस
ऑर्डर है मेरे पास,
एक्सेप्ट फॉर अमी ऑर्गेनिक्स, which and that is benefiting not from the chemical side but from the CDMO side. So there is a bit of a difference there.
And UPL is sitting at its very close to its 52-week high.
After getting beaten down.
Yeah,
quite
absolutely thrashed, but now...
Hated stock has come
Hated
up.
stock.
Babu Selva Singh, do we have a trigger point which will predict FII will return?
We've asked this to everybody. Now, again, beautiful, right? Think of it. Today, both Gautam Trivedi and Amish Shah made this point. Amish laid it out in numbers. So, FII flows. Think of it from from a fund manager sitting in Chicago or New York, I am getting 4.5% fixed return in US.
Yes.
The rupee is depreciated X percentage, will depreciate maybe another 2 percentage, 3 percentage points more, right? So let's say annually. Yeah, but let's say current year 2025. So 4.5 plus 3.5, 7.5 plus क्योंकि आप इंडिया में इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हो या कोई भी इमर्जिंग मार्केट कर रहे हो, इक्विटी रिस्क प्रीमियम 5%, 6% जो भी लगा रहा है, 5% लगाओ, चलो कंजर्वेटिव 12%. Unless the FI is seeing 12% return in the Indian market, why would he leave the US shores where he's getting 4.5? Now, is he getting 12% return in India on the Nifty because FI will choose the large stock? If the Nifty is gonna deliver 12% maximum
from here on,
and let's say for a market which is not growing very well, why should you get average valuations? You could all argue that below average bhi milna chahiye. So we are at 19 times. We should be at maybe 17 times. So there is maybe some bit of moderation also there. Everybody's arguing for uptick. Maybe there is some bit of moderation also. So why will the FI come? I think the FI will probably come in once there is passage of time, or if suddenly something happens and the earnings commentary around India changes. One hopes that happens in the June quarter, right? Neelkanth Mishra is in a record saying कि हो जाएगा. हो सकता है. Let's put it that way. हो जाए तो कौन बोलेगा? हो सकता है. अगर वो हो गया तो ठीक है.
Because March, April is the month where you will have some certainty on the reciprocal tariff coming into.
That too, very important.
Coming. There is also one thing of European Union trying to cut rates by 3 times in this year. Japan is looking at a rate hike this year, and we are on a pause till the next at least.
और pause till April.
नहीं, अप्रैल में तो होने वाला नहीं है. अप्रैल में नहीं होने वाला है.
इस पे मैं कॉफी नहीं लगाऊंगा. इस पे मैं कॉफी नहीं लगाऊंगा.
अप्रैल में नहीं होगा. बट फेड रेट कट जो है, जो दिसंबर की बात हो रही थी, अभी सितंबर की बात हो रही है, राइट? सो दीज आर सम ऑफ द, एंड एज ही सेड 12% अगर मेरे को रिटर्न नहीं मिलता तो मैं क्यों अपना रिस्क लगाऊं इस मार्केट?
Difficult to bat for it. I mean, unless something exceptional happens in India. Hopefully something exceptional happens, earnings growth or something.
Hersh,
yes, sir.
You seem to be an FD person than an equities person.
Not at all. I'm very much an equities person. Very much an equities person.
Today there was some massive correction in Zentech.
Yeah, sorry, 20% down today.
Yes.
Margins came off from
Yes.
43% to 29%.
Product mix changed.
That's
Could
what I
this
was
be temporary or permanent?
No, it is
something
permanent because I was there at the defense, Aero India, and I met the management. And I
You went
asked-
Zentech, you were saying?
Zentech mein, and they said that now they're getting into hardware because the customers are wanting hardware on top of the software.
Something you were saying, ER&D,
Yeah,
etc.
So
right?
then capex intensive, ROEs will come down.
हाँ, margins will come down उसमें, because उसमें उन्होंने launch अभी किया है. They launched the thing a month or 2 back. These air to air, surface to air missiles जो हैं या जो guns हैं उनके. So that is going to change for them.
Wow. So you know how much the stock is corrected?
आज 20% का.
आज तो छोड़ो, बताओ.
क्या है अभी?
Yeah, it's down 58%.
हजार रुपए हो गया है.
But it's a mixed change which is happening because the customer is wanting it. Oh, and I don't know. You should go to the YouTube and I did the interview with them.
By the way, they are coming tomorrow at 10 a.m. on our channel too. But sorry, please make your point.
But he said very clearly that when we are going to the customer and we are trying to integrate, so they have this integration software, right? Stimulation of cancer. They are saying that we need to integrate it with the product. So आप अपना product दो हमको उसके साथ. And so they are now able to do it with every gun or any other armament which we are talking about. But now they are trying to make their own. So there's a product mix which is changing, and as a result of the margin profile is also going to change.
Interesting.
Because as I said, now defense is not about hardware alone. It's about ER&D and AI play which is coming in. And so any company जो हार्डवेयर से ऊपर जाएगी ना इन सब के साथ, उनका वैल्यूएशन अगले 2-3 साल में वो वैल्यूएशन बढ़ेगा, because their margin profile will change accordingly in that sense.
Okay.
Check WhatsApp. I've been told kindly suggest ITC hotels at current level as BAT has decided to exit. Nothing new. it was known that BAT will exit. BAT के साथ साथ you will also see SU UTI, which has a stake. They will also exit. So together around 23% stake. It will be sold at some point in time over the next 12 to 18 months in ITC hotels, because UTI has been selling some stake there, and hotels में तो घुसना नहीं चाहेंगे. But
guys,
BAT is something which is...
Yeah, but now we'll have to wrap up, because I think at 1 p.m. FM Nirmala Sitharaman is going to talk as well.
Yeah.
So you can probably log in back and hear that message too, because I think it'll be important. But from now, for now, from me, Hersh and Sajeet, thank you so much for tuning in today, and wishing you all and wishing us all the best for the markets stabilizing soon.
And watch the conclave tomorrow.
Oh, watch the NDTV Profit conclave tomorrow, most certainly.
Yeah.
Very, very impressive.
We won't be around, I believe.